No, we're not serving notice, but you're asking me to rule it out. I can't rule it out. If they offer a very poor offer and inflation is still rocketing away the way people are experiencing at the minute, and this is an under-inflation pay deal for these 2 years, so I don't know what mood our members will be in, but I don't know what mood Network Rail will be in and what they'll offer, so I can't rule it out, but I'm not ruling it in either.
Is this an end of the matter for staff at Network Rail, or is it a sticking plaster? Will we see strikes mounted again next winter?
So the dispute is concluded, so our members have voted decisively to accept what was on offer. The company has taken away the stipulations to accept their conditions on modernising maintenance, and they injected new money into the formula, so our members will earn more over that 2-year period. We'll deal with the implementation programme that they've got through the company structures, through the negotiating forums and consultations. There are no more strikes in Network Rail on this dispute, but when we get through their change programme, it will be time to negotiate next year's pay deal, the 2024 deal. So hopefully we can work constructively with the company on that, but we always reserve our right to be in dispute through the collective bargaining structures. So hopefully we can get a deal that will sort all these issues out, but we are where we are.
That sounds like serving notice that there could be industrial action back on the cards for Network Rail members who are members of your union next year.
No, we're not serving notice, but you're asking me to rule it out. I can't rule it out. If they offer a very poor offer and inflation is still rocketing away the way people are experiencing at the minute, and this is an under-inflation pay deal for these 2 years, so I don't know what mood our members will be in, but I don't know what mood Network Rail will be in and what they'll offer, so I can't rule it out, but I'm not ruling it in either.
Well, let's just talk about the deal in hand. The RMT didn't recommend it to its members. Did you think Network Rail could have been pushed to go further?
Well, we've taken plenty of strike action to push them as far as we can. It's a very modest pay deal. It's under inflation, so there'll be no celebrations about this deal. It's modest, is the best I can say about it. But my members have got pent-up back pay because we haven't had a pay deal for 2 or 3 years, and this deal goes back to January of last year. So there is earnings that our members are owed, and they've voted in favour of it. But at the final instalment, the final offer, they did inject more money, up to another 1.1%. So we wanted to give our members a say. They were demanding that, and they've spoken, and we listened to what our members say, and we've concluded the dispute.
And is the outcome today proof that industrial action does work in forcing paymasters back to the negotiating table with better deals?
Yes, I think it does, because we were offered 2% at the start of this, and even though this is moderate and modest, it's more than double what we were offered first. We've won travel facilities for Network Rail staff on the railway, which we've been seeking for 25 years or more since privatisation. There are details in the deal that the public won't see about station staff and signallers and other bits and pieces that are very important to our members. So there are quite a number of issues that our members are keen to adopt. But it's got to be said, the pay is modest. So we've moved forward, but not as far as we had wanted to. So we're not celebrating. But we think that industrial action is a tool that working people should use and can use to their benefit.
It points to redundancies further down the line, this deal. Do you accept, therefore, the argument that your members need to modernise, that the railways in the UK need to modernise?
We always modernise. There's not been a time on the railway where railway workers have not modernised. We've got a guarantee of no compulsory redundancies through to January 2025. So that brings some comfort. Both sides know where they are. None of our people will lose their jobs if they don't want to. If they want to stay on the railway, they can. So that's a good measure. And there's not many workers who have that guarantee. Network Rail have given that to us. We've had that from London Underground, and we're hoping to get that from the train operating companies, and that secures people's futures because people are worried about that. So job security is very important. Paying conditions are important, and we've made some important steps in this dispute. So we need the strength that we get from industrial action mandates and taking action at the negotiating table, and we've made some steps forward, which is good news, but the pay isn't satisfactory completely, and we'll have to do better next time we're negotiating with them.
Can I just turn briefly to the ongoing dispute with your members who work for the 14 train operating companies? Mark Harper, the Transport Secretary, has today expressed his disappointment that you haven't put what he calls a very similar deal from the Rail Delivery Group to your members working for those train operating companies. What do you say to that?
Well, Mark Harper has insisted, and his department, that there's 18 separate elements of change, which they call modernisation, but some of them are just attacks on our members' contracts of employment. And they know that most of those we can't accept, absolutely. We can't accept the closure of booking offices in Britain. We can't accept driver-only operation. And there are quite another number of elements that they need to step back from. So if the train operating companies inject more money, as Network Rail have done, and they step back away from some of these red lines that they know we cannot accept, maybe we can develop a deal. So there's got to be a bit more money, and there's got to be stepping away from some of the red lines, and we can develop a deal, the same as we've done with Network Rail. But it's up to them. It's their position that needs to alter, and they'll find us a partner in trying to negotiate something if we can get it on.
And the next round of strikes that are coming up, could they potentially be paused while talks are ongoing, or is it more likely that they're going to go ahead?
Well, they're going ahead until something develops. So we haven't had any development. We rejected their offers before. We took 2 days of action last week. We've got talks tomorrow. If something that comes out of that I can take to my executive board, we'll see what they can do. But at the moment, the strikes are on. There's nothing different on the table. But it's up to negotiating partners to develop those elements in the deal that are movable to try and get something different in the equation.
And just finally, now that we've seen the dispute with Network Rail come to a conclusion, is it a source of regret to you, the strikes that have led to people trying to get to work, trying to see family, trying to attend important events to them, disrupted? Are you regretful that the rail strikes have led to that outcome?
Well, I regret when people are disrupted, whether it's their business life or their social life or commitments that they've got. We don't want that to happen. We regret that our members had to take strike action and lose that pay. The stress of being on strike is not an easy burden. So I think it's been a bit unnecessary. It goes back to Grant Shapps and Boris Johnson's macho approach and the government's clampdown on working class wages, which we've seen